Welcome to Spotlight Features Change in the Making. I am your host, Joy Hamilton. First, we would like to acknowledge and give thanks to the Songhees and Esquimalt nations that we are on the land of today. I am a First Nations Cree woman, originally from Stanley Mission in Saskatchewan, part of the 60 Scoop. I was adopted at 10 months old and grew up here in Victoria, BC. I had a difficult start in life, along with my birth family, who has endured the residential schools and illnesses. I am also a cancer survivor. I developed a program for radio in 2002, and now it has become a television show called The Wolf Beat on Rogerstv, where we examine personal stories of our local First Nations cultures. When I was asked to do this program, I was very excited because it is something I enjoy and love to do. Learning and speaking with other First Nations people is very spiritual for me, and it is my passion to know many First Nations cultures. Our first spotlight is on the Rematriate Stewardship Project on southern Vancouver Island. Here, Tiffany Joseph serves as the project lead, focusing on reconnecting Indigenous women, youth, and Two-Spirit stewards with their land. This very crucial initiative not only reestablishes vital cultural bonds, but also cultivates a safe and supportive space for the community.
My name's Tiffany Joseph. I'm from here in Saitnich. I'm also a Squamish and Coetsin, which are all Coast Salish nations. I am the project lead of Rematriate Stewardship. Rematriate Stewardship Project is an initiative to connect Indigenous women, youth, and Two-Spirit stewards to the land. As an Indigenous-led charity, we aim to get land back in Indigenous people's hands. Rematriate stewardship is important to me because Indigenous women have always taken care of the land. We've always held that responsibility. Colonialism fought very hard to take away our power and our authority over the land and over our children and our families. We have the tools of kindness, compassion, and healing, and so we need the space in order to give that to ourselves. This needs to come from the people impacted. Indigenous women, youth, and Two-Spirit people are not safe. Our precious ecosystem is being destroyed, and like everywhere else in Canada, our people are affected by murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. The dangers and health impacts on our people are getting worse. We're here at the Rematriate Pride Potluck event. So this is an event to celebrate Two-Spirit history and do some education about Two-Spirit and who Two-Spirit people are. It's important for our community to be able to come together for enjoyable times and good food. And it's also an opportunity for us to welcome guests within our territory, to connect with our community in healthy and safe ways and fun ways. We're fundraising to buy land back because There's no level of government that has adequately addressed the safety of Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people within our own territory, let alone within Canada. With Rematriate Stewardship, it's about fulfilling our matriarchal responsibility for the safety and well-being of Indigenous children and families, the land, water, and our culture for future generations. This is about ensuring the holistic well-being of Indigenous people. We recognize the importance of stable housing, food sovereignty, community-based supports, and reconnection to culture, land, and language. We just want to create safe space for Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people to be able to create that safety for ourselves, because we're the only ones who can do it. OCM.
In recent years, the food instability in Canada has escalated to near epidemic dimensions, with the situation being even more oppressive in the First Nations communities. Our next story visits Nadawanonek, known as Eel Ground First Nation in New Brunswick. Here, the rate of food instability has reached very alarming levels. We will explore how the community members are dealing with this urgent issue and actively seeking solutions to improve their situation.
Here at the food bank, we have a variety of non-perishable goods.
We need more funding from the government. We need more access to Indigenous foods.
If there were more job opportunities and that stuff, it would kind of benefit a lot more of the members.
A lot of it comes back to, history, of course, the way people grew up and the food skills that they learned and skills at home, cooking, whatever, the value of food, the value of nutrition. But also it's, of course, income disparity at the heart of it, too.
So it started in 2018, and I believe it started with community members. They were having a hard time financially, getting healthy foods and making healthy choices. Community Food Centres Canada had jumped on board and guided us in the right direction.
Vegetable soup, chicken noodle. Chicken noodle. Chicken noodle, please.
We offer food bank every 2 weeks. We average about 67 people.
A great need for a food bank. It would be nice that people don't need it, but it is something that is needed in the community there. There's a lot of people that kind of rely on it where the employment is not as great as other areas and that stuff.
Hey guys, 150 chickens and ready for the barbecue for the drop-in meal tonight. We also have drop-in meals. Recently, we've been averaging about 150 to 160 people every Monday and Wednesday evening. Tonight, for instance, we're having roasted chicken with potatoes and carrots.
It's it's pretty heavy experience getting to know the community and their experience, and getting to know how the echoes of the past come through to today, and it's kind of an experience of reconciliation on its own. It's really something to see, actually.
I can put this chicken in the new oven.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. But it does feel good to work here, so we can help, provide food for our community members.
My name is Jennifer Wood. My spirit name is Wathio Binakwe. That translates in Ojibwe to the first light in the morning. I am a third generational survivor. My mother went to residential school. My grandmother went to residential school. 5 of my siblings were taken in a sweep of an afternoon to residential school, and I myself attended. So I love to speak on residential school survivors because I understand the significant impact that it imposed on our lives and other lives. Reconciliation means to me that we should look at righting the wrongs that happened to our survivors during the residential school legacy It means that people should start looking at the truth of our legacy and start appreciating it and start meeting us halfway so that we could walk side by side and coexist together in this great country we call Canada, which is our home. I believe that people should start looking inside themselves and start looking at the state that our country is in, our people are in, our survivors are in, and start questioning why that's happening. I would like them to educate themselves, to educate their children. I would like Canadians to be better allies in joining us in our marches, joining us in our walks, especially in light of the missing and murdered women, and especially in light of us discovering unmarked graves and missing children. On September the 30th, I would like Canadians to come forward, to start raising the orange flag, to start putting an orange t-shirt in their window. If that was done, I would believe we'd be farther ahead, and we would be very appreciative if Canadians can start to do such things. There is a lot of hope. I always see hope, and I always see a light at the end of the tunnel. I see hope in ways of our Indigenous residential school survivors rising up, standing up, coming together, gathering, upholding themselves and empowering themselves, because I really believe that hope is the anchor, and I really have to hang on to hope, and I want people to move forward to see that and to coexist and to walk side by side of us, and that will be a better place to live in our home Canada.
Our journey now is to Thunder Bay, Ontario. Esther Maud from the Skoan First Nation founded the Wapshka Anipki Benesi after-school program, focusing on land-based education, culture, and First Nation traditions. Her dedication helps the local youth and their families engage very deeply with their cultural heritage. Follow your heart and thrive for the skies.
My home life was not a safe space, and even just my surrounding community was not my safe space. So I knew just at a young age that I needed to find my safe space. And so I understand that a lot of kids don't get to go home to a safe home or a home-cooked meal, or just, in general, a safe person. So we focus on trying to create a safe space for the children where they can trust us. My name is Esther Maud, and I am the founder and the director of Wapshka Anipki Benesi, an after-school program. It all came from seeing that there was a need in the area of the school. My children were a part of a program that used to be there. It got canceled, and I seen that there wasn't going to be any more programming. So I kind of sat with it for a week and just, pondered on how I can help. So the kids get to do a lot of cultural and land-based activities where we go out to the land, and we've done moose high camps, we've done traditional games that our people used to play long time ago. We do regalia making, we do drum making, and where we sing, we get to teach them how to sing drum songs, and just really bringing our culture to program and to the children so that they can stay connected with their roots. And some of them have never even seen a lot of the things that we've been able to bring to the program. So we love to be able to do that, or even introduce our culture to non-Indigenous children has been really nice. We're doing something that is important to our people, and that's breaking intergenerational trauma. It's being able to sit there and see the children being able to laugh and play freely. The kids can be themselves and feel like they can belong, and It's essential for them to be able to grow and find themselves. It gives them extra programming time to attend, especially if they don't want to be at home or can't be at home or something, you know, like it's always there. It's so important for the kids to be able to find their person. When I created my team, you know, like I told my team that you have to love your job, you know, just like know that this job means a lot to me. I'm very passionate about it, and I'm a mother of 6 too, so you know, children is my everything. And so what I would like the youth to know is that they're important, that they're loved, that they're cared for, and that they are welcomed to our program anytime.
My name is Kayla Johnston, and I'm the Director of Education at the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation. What I really love about reconciliation is the subjective nature of it. So if you look at reconciliation through various relationship levels, oftentimes we're focusing on reconciliation at the macro level. Changes to our economy, the child welfare system, the justice system. And it can be really hard to identify what we can do as individuals when things like the calls to action call out various governments from the federal, municipal, provincial, territorial. It's hard to see ourselves in that. But if we look at reconciliation at the community level, in workplaces, in schools, other gatherings, and if we look at reconciliation at the individual level, there's really great pockets of things happening all across the country. So very briefly, when we look at it at that community level, that is one of the hardest things about reconciliation, is finding that piece that speaks to you. The burden to address all 94 calls to action doesn't fall on a single person's shoulders. And it's about learning what that passion is and how to use your networks, your strengths, and your capabilities to advance that call. Here at the NCTR, we developed the 6 actions of reconciliation, and 4 out of those 6 actions are education-based. It's learn and understand the history of residential schools in colonial systems and the history of Indigenous peoples. It's also about recognizing the contributions Indigenous peoples have made to this country. The last 2 are the action-based ones. It is taking action to address present-day wrongs or historical injustices, but the big one, teach others. Using different types of resources and information that worked well for you, that helped you, and sharing it with friends, family, coworkers, and other individuals. When it comes to things that you can do in September, there is a wide range of programming available here at the NCTR. Virtual programming as well as in-person programming. They can visit our website to get access to that. We also have 5 educational lunch and learns that is going to be talking about things like the health impacts of residential schools and the segregated medical care system, allyship and unconscious bias, Indigenous identity fraud, the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and how we can address the barriers to reconciliation. One of the biggest barriers when it comes to addressing reconciliation this point in time is actually residential school denialism. Residential school denialism isn't about denying that residential schools existed, but misunderstanding or misconstruing the facts about residential school history and their impact on Indigenous communities. There are a great number of arguments that have come out as to how people lessen the impact of residential schools, and the biggest way we can address this is listening to survivors. It is learning about those histories and impacts of the residential school system and how that impact still connects to present day challenges and what we can do to work together to address those challenges. So the big key part is listening to survivors, knowing that truth comes before reconciliation.
Paving the way to systematic changes, Pam Spooner is the former director of Indigenous Education in School District 57 in Prince George, BC. She now steps into a historic role as the province's first Indigenous Assistant Superintendent. In this critical position, Pam is confident to address and overcome the long-standing educational challenge that is faced by First Nations children in Canada.
I think a big barrier is pride and confidence and the feelings that our kids may or may not have when they walk into the schools. Do they see themselves represented in the schools? Do they feel comfortable walking into the classrooms? Do they feel like they have to stuff a certain side, a part of them down in order to fit in? My name is Pam Spooner. I am the Indigenous Assistant Superintendent for School District 57. I am a Gitxsan person, born and raised in Hazelton, but I've been in Prince George, a guest in the territory, since 1989. And my feast hall name is Gusawilaxam Guganau, which means little frog teacher, or she is always teaching. This job is an HRT exemption, so a human rights exemption, meaning that this position will always be for an Indigenous person. And what it does is it ensures that Indigenous voice at the table. So now to have Indigenous people speak up and be the voice at those tables is hugely important, and it influences the decisions that might be made, big picture. For far too long in the past, so many of our kids fell through the cracks. There weren't enough conversations, there weren't enough eyes on, there weren't enough people trying to assist or even to have a relationship with them. We know as Indigenous people, sometimes it's easier to talk to Indigenous people, right? So when people are phoning you or knocking on your door, it's easier when you have a worker or someone from the education system who looks like you, or a role model too, standing in front of the kids so that they can see themselves within those schools, so that they're more comfortable asking questions or being confident and proud in who they are. I think the biggest thing that I've been doing is bringing awareness to everybody at all levels. At all the board meetings, I would bring the ancestors in and I would say, this rock or this tree, they're witnesses from the people who were here before us. And so we need to make sure that we're doing good work to benefit all kids. My children have a non-Indigenous father, and so it was really tough for them. They wanted to fit in. And so now they're texting me and asking me, what's my name, or how do we say our WILP, or how do we write? And so they're asking more questions and they know more, and they realize, again, how important it is to understand who you are and be proud of who you are to be successful in the fields or careers that you go into. To be able to walk into a room and win an interview, or to stand in front of a body of people and say, this is who I am as an Indigenous person, and this is what we need to do to change the future, right? So if we don't have that in our kids, I don't know if true success can happen. Otherwise, you have totally assimilated and pushed down who the Indigenous person is. It's about teaching, it's about standing beside everybody and walking alongside them to make a better future for the kids. I want our kids to be loud and proud of who they are. Smiling, laughing, having fun, entering the workforce, looking after their communities still, and not being afraid to do that. My hope is we've closed the gap, that our Indigenous students are just as successful as everybody else. My hope is that they're going to walk into a classroom and a school and be proud of who they are, right? They're not different. Be proud that you are different.
In terms of what reconciliation means to me, because it has a lot to do with relationship building and non-Indigenous folks understanding the experience of Indigenous folks, I think a lot of reconciliation involves learning. And most importantly, I think it involves making space and resources available for Indigenous people to share their own stories and experiences with non-Indigenous folks. Often people think that reconciliation is going to feel really good. It's going to feel like a big warm hug and we're all going to come together and be happy. The unfortunate reality is the process of reconciliation it's hard. It's hard for Indigenous folks to share stories. It's especially when you're talking about things like residential school, and it's hard for non-Indigenous folks to bear witness to those stories. So really, I think in terms of supporting reconciliation or how folks support reconciliation, there's some things you can do that are really, really fun. You know, you can go to an art exhibition, you can go see a performer, an Indigenous performer, you can support, artisans markets, or, follow your favorite bead worker on social media. All of those are really important things to do, but I also think that there's a part of it that's not fun, and it's a lot about the work that we do here at Woodland Cultural Center, where we're bringing people into a former residential school site and asking them to bear witness, and also in a lot of ways asking them, I guess, really for the stability, financial support, and the lobbying of their governments to support this work, to support us being able to share these stories.
I want to thank you, the viewers, for watching our show, and I will leave you with this thought or call to action to ponder. Can you effectively support and engage in the journey of healing and unity? Lastly, what does reconciliation mean to you? Thank you for watching. I'm Joy Hamilton.